I had to optimize things again. Hello everyone, welcome back to another devlog. Today, I'm optimizing things again. In the last devlog, I optimized the vehicles and implemented an LOD system, but I didn't address the lag spikes. And as I've been working on things and testing them, those pesky spikes started driving me insane. So here I am fixing things again. At this point, optimization is less of a task and more of a side quest that never ends. This one's going to be pretty technical, so consider yourself warned. Every time a new chunk is generated, especially hilly terrain, there's a noticeable lag spike. It's like my PC is begging for mercy. After debugging, I narrowed it down to two culprits: the mesh rendering algorithm and The first issue was straightforward. I reduced the chunk size and increased the number of chunks. Previously, each chunk was a 15 block grid, now it's an 8 block grid. This bumped up the number of active chunks from 15 to 90, but the overall block count actually decreased. To further optimize, I reduced the number of vertices and triangles per chunk. If you're unfamiliar, every 3D object is built from triangles, and the more there are, the worse performance gets. And in my case, I have this mess. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I also use a greedy meshing algorithm to merge adjacent blocks and reduce the number of rendered triangles. However, my implementation only merged blocks with identical textures, so the more texture variations I had, the worse it got. Hence, this mess. The fix? Offloading texture handling to the GPU. Now instead of forcing the meshing algorithm to process textures, I let the material system to do the heavy lifting. Here's a material setup. A simple yellow texture. If I multiply this with a noise texture, I get a yellowy texture with some variation. Now applying pixelation and clamping the values results in a pixelated image with minor variations. I pretty much do this on a larger scale for all the textures. And here's the final result. Much better. By the way, if you're enjoying this devlog, consider subscribing. It's free and it helps me get closer to making game development my full-time job, so I can make more games like this one. Also, if you want to chat about game dev, share ideas, or just hang out, feel free to join my Discord, link in the description. You ever write code, then come back a few months later and wonder what the hell you were thinking? Yeah, that was me. When I first created I overcomplicated it. I knew I would have to optimize it later, and it has been biting me in the ever since. Previously, I used a separate array to track subdivided blocks. Since each block is shrunk from a side length of 100 to a 10, that meant an extra 1000 blocks per original block. Each chunk, which normally has 512 blocks, now processed an additional 512,000 blocks, just for visuals. And to make things worse, my algorithm looped through each of these blocks multiple times, running calculations, adjusting positions, checking conditions, blah blah blah. The result? A 1000-line monstrosity that was hard to edit and even harder to optimize. The fix? Only processing the visible blocks. Let me explain. Instead of processing 512,000 blocks, I first check which blocks of size 100 by 100 by 100 are exposed. If a block is surrounded on all sides, it's ignored. Then, I subdivide these visible blocks and only consider the outermost ones. So now instead of handling 512,000 blocks, I usually process less than 30,000. This reduced computation costs by over a whopping 94%, which then cut loading times by about 50%. Here's a side-by-side comparison. And that wraps up the video. This was a pretty time-consuming, hair-pulling experience, but I'm glad my chunks don't freeze time anymore, unlike my brain while writing this code. Anyways, for the next few weeks, I'll be focusing on adding even more enemies, so stay tuned for that. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out future devlogs and updates. And join my Discord. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.